You are listening to a Pleasure podcast. For more from our Sex Podcast Collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Welcome back to Private Parts Unknown, a podcast about love and sexuality around the world. I'm Courtney Kocak, and today, privates, we are putting on our leather assless chaps, and we are walking, strutting on in, peacocking down to the Eagle LA in Silver Lake. Silver Lake is actually the home of not only the Eagle LA, but some pretty incredible gay history. So I thought, what could be better for this special month of Pride programming than bringing you Hunter and Charlie? Hunter and Charlie are two of the guys behind the Eagle LA, and I met them actually at this omakase sushi place in Hollywood, and they were so friendly and interesting. And then when I found out the Eagle LA connection, I was like, oh my God, I gotta interview these guys. So I did a radio story for KCRW in 2019, and then I actually ran that on Private Parts Unknown last year for Pride. That episode is called Happily Leather After, the love story of two leather daddies at the Eagle LA in Silver Lake. So you can go back and check out the original radio story if you want to hear that. It's honestly one of my favorite radio stories I've ever done. So super proud of that. But today I am bringing you the full interview with Hunter and Charlie. So when I originally interviewed them, I interviewed them at the Eagle LA. There were some sound issues because there was an event happening. So we had to redo the interview essentially at their other restaurant in Hollywood. And it was no problem. It came out absolutely fabulous. And so I thought, why let any of that go to waste? You know, the radio stories are so short, they're like 8 to 10 minutes. So I was like, oh, there's so much good stuff that we talked about that didn't make it in, and I don't want to let any of that go to waste. So today I am bringing you Hunter and Charlie unabridged. Oh, they truly have the best love story. They talk about the history of the Eagle LA and some of Silver Lake's LGBT history as well. It's just a really fascinating interview, and I know you guys are going to love it. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Charlie Matula. I am co-owner of the Eagle Los Angeles and Silver Lake. My business partner, Vince Quattrochi, he and I have owned the bar for 13 years. And I'm here with my husband, Hunter Fox.
Hello, I'm Hunter Fox. I am the co-owner of Hunter and Charlie's Deli and Restaurant in Hollywood, and also the co-producer for the Off Sunset Festival.
And what's the Off Sunset Festival?
Off Sunset Festival is a street fair that happens in front of Eagle LA in Silver Lake, between Hoover and Sunset on Santa Monica Boulevard. We do it the same weekend every year as LA Leather Pride, and we started it mainly because as Silver Lake is becoming gentrified and there's more building and a lot of the new and out with the old, a lot of the gay bars and a lot of our gay history is been closed and moved. I do want to thank the guys that own the Black Cat. They did a very incredible job of maintaining their history. The Black Cat riots took place before Stonewall and was kind of the beginning of the gay rights movement in California. So with a lot of that stuff changing, I like the shiny and I like the new and I welcome new people. It's all well and good. However, we want to maintain our roots and our foundation. So we produce the Off Sunset Festival, which first and foremost is a leather street fair. It's 21 and over. We have bands all day. We have DJs. We have local merchants selling their wares. And we get together. Everybody's welcome. And it's a day of music and fun and shopping and food trucks. And yeah, it's a really good time.
So there is like a ton of history in Silver Lake where you guys are at.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you just want to speak a little bit to like the history and what it is like to be a part of that and carry that torch forward.
Well, I think I love about the bar, when Charlie hired me as the manager, Charlie and Vince, we still had men who would come there on their motorcycles who were in their 80s, 70s and 80s, older guys. And they were part of that history when it was illegal to be openly gay in Los Angeles. Los Angeles was the first city in the country that had anti-gay laws. In 1903, the law was passed that no more than 2 known homosexuals can occupy a public space.
Oh my God.
It was considered lewd and indecent conduct, so they would be arrested. So up until the 70s, when they took that law off the books, bars like the Eagle, back then it was known as the Shed. The Black Cat was known as the Black Cat. There were a couple other places. They never had signs. They just had an address. They were usually painted very discreetly so they didn't draw attention. And Vice would go in anywhere from 6 or more officers, and all someone had to do was touch someone, and everyone in the establishment were arrested and put in jail. And so that's kind of what started the whole Black Cat riots thing, that started all the tension. So it was great to be part of, have a space that is that old and that is still around. Now it's called Eagle LA. Very few of those men are still around. There's a gentleman named Lexi Romanoff who was actually one of the organizers of the Black Cat riots, the march, to help change all this stuff. So it's nice. I mean, we're literally a few blocks away from the Black Cat. So it's, the LAPD has done an incredible job. I really want to make that very known. They have done an incredible job on changing their policies with their officers and how we are treated, and our demographic and who we are. It's definitely evolved.
Okay, you guys, we are at Hunter and Charlie's right now, but take us back to the Eagle LA. Like, describe what it looks like, what's on the wall, who's there.
Eagle LA, it's a Levi leather biker bar, and has been, previous to Eagle LA, it's been that nature of a bar for many, many, many years. So you walk in, the walls are all black. It's very dark, very dimly lit, kind of seedy. We've been noted as one of the top 5 dive bars in all of Los Angeles, so we're very proud of that, actually.
It's a great place to come. It's a neighborhood bar as well. A lot of local people come there on a regular basis, but it definitely has that seedy kind of underground element to it that is that a lot of people find intimidating. Once you get inside, you meet some of the bartenders and start talking to some of the people that actually go there a lot, and you find that it's actually just another bar.
Yeah, it's not very scary at all. It's a very neighborhood bar, and we have a very open door policy, which is part of our big success. Is we don't isolate it to just specific parts of the community.
Do you feel like that is the thing with a lot of like LGBT bars? It's like they're very for a specific demographic.
Being a leather Levi bar, a lot of people of that community, leather Levi, expect us to be very specific to that, and some of them get very upset when we don't. When they walk in and find women there, they just get really upset about that. But overall, it's always been my policy that we open our door to everyone, and again, I think it just makes it a very successful neighborhood bar, and everyone can come there of all walks and all talks, gay, straight, whichever color or flavor of the rainbow. And once they get in there, they realize this is really kind of a cool place, and they have a great time.
And just kind of reiterate what Charlie said, we are a Levi leather biker bar, if you will, and we definitely try to stay true to our roots and our foundation, and we definitely maintain that with the events that we do at the bar. And I think a lot of other bar owners and bar goers might even understand this. We have to have different events and cater to different parts of our community, or we would never make it. That's just simple business as well. And again, with what Charlie said, everybody is welcome there on any night. There's just, you might come in one night and get one flavor. You might come in another night and get a flavor that you never even expected that existed.
So tell us about some of the events that you guys do. Because some of them are a little out there, right?
Some of them are a little out there. Probably the most cutting edge event we do would be called Oink, which we do a few times a year. And Oink is really based in the shock and awe kind of area of things.
Yeah.
And it's about pushing people's limits and their boundaries. Everything is safe and sane and consensual. But we've done things like piercings and tattoos.
I was referring to like demonstrations that we put on throughout the evening for the customers to witness. Is the shock and awe. We really kind of push the envelope and do these extreme demonstrations.
Or even participate in. There's some things where, for instance, like some people are into food, and we had like a booth where you could throw food at a guy in a jockstrap, and he really, really enjoyed it. So we had another, like a little booth where you could go up and stick your hand in something, and whatever pool ball you pulled out, you could win a prize, whether it be a drink ticket or a T-shirt or a rubber chicken.
That's super fun. So I was there on your most recent anniversary, which was your 14th? 13th.
13th.
Oh, 13th. And you guys had, I mean, there was someone taking pictures. You had the shoe shine. You had someone selling merch. Like, it was a whole, tell me about that night.
That night was awesome.
Yeah. 13 years. It's hard to imagine we've gotten to 13 years. It's all in the blink of an eye. But yeah, the anniversary party, again, it's just an open door, and we'll set up demonstrations, and we have anniversary pins and T-shirts that change from year to year, so they're kind of sought after items. So people look forward to the anniversary party nights because they know they're going to get a limited run T-shirt and kind of things, and so that it always makes it fun. But people come and go from the community, and for whatever reason, they stop going out after a few years.
Or they get married.
They move, get a new job, new boyfriend. You never know. But the anniversary party is the one night where they all kind of come back, and it's kind of like a reunion, which is really, really cool.
I love that. So tell me a little bit more about, like, 13 years is a long time, like you were saying, and it sounds like you've built this kind of extensive community, even if some people are more regular players.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Do you feel like it's changed over time?
Oh, most definitely. It's always a constantly changing environment and the community at large.
We've been fortunate, mainly in the aspect that we're kind of home base. And because we have an open door policy, we get a lot of walks of life who come through the bar, not just as customers, but also as people some people volunteer for nonprofits. Some people are part of organizations like leather uniform clubs. Some people are part of BDSM clubs. Some people have teams that ride in the AIDS life cycle. So we have a place where they can come and do an event where they can raise money for their organization, foundation, for their purpose. Sometimes they've never done a fundraiser, and they ask us, what can we do? So we help facilitate getting raffle prizes or doing auction items. Mm-hmm. We've done everything from bake sales to covering people with clothespins and pulling them all off for money. One time we did a celebrity pie toss where we took kind of leaders from the community, we put them on stage, and the pie went to the highest bidder, and you got to stand about 4 feet away and pie them in the face. And we literally raised about $6,000 in 3 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just auctioning off pies. It was pretty incredible.
I love that. So you guys obviously have people that, like, show up for these things and really support. And when I was there, I saw it was like kind of a wide spectrum of ages.
Yeah.
Did you find that to be true?
Yeah, and I think the day that we actually spoke with you, there was the LA Rebellion rugby team was doing their thing. We have a rugby team that we sponsor. They're a great team. Years back, they went on and they came in second at the Bingham Cup, which was pretty amazing.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Bingham was on. I might have this wrong. Flight 93 that crashed in.
Oh wow!
And he was a gay rugby player, and so every 2 years there's a tournament called the Bingham Cup, which gay rugby teams from all over the world converge on whatever city they're in, and they compete for the cup.
Amazing. So the Eagle, you guys have the location in Los Angeles, but it extends beyond.
There's Eagles everywhere. It's not necessarily a franchised or trademarked name or logo. So you can go to Palm Springs and there's a new one opening up there. There's one in Long Beach called Eagle 562. San Francisco, it's called Eagle Tavern. Here it's called Eagle LA. The basis of an Eagle is that it's a Levi leather jeans and t-shirt, low key, not super fancy, just laid back kind of place.
Yeah, almost every major city throughout the United States has an Eagle, but they're not connected in any way other than just like-minded clientele. And there are even some that extend out of the country through Europe, Canada. When
you roll down to the Long Beach Eagle, you kind of know what to expect. They're all kind of a little bit similar.
Exactly, and that's why I was anxious to get one open in Los Angeles, because there's a lot of transit people coming through, going east, going west. They all stop in Los Angeles on their flights, and sometimes for a few days. And so, whether it be here, Chicago, Houston, New York, what have you, if you know there's an Eagle, you know what you're going to get. So there's a lot of brand equity in the name Eagle, and it's a great thing to be a part of.
So you have an interesting story about how you started. Can you tell me why you wanted to start the Eagle, and it was an April Fool's joke? What's the...
That was awesome.
Well, going back, I used to work at the original Eagle that was here in West Hollywood. It closed in 1995. It was open for 15 years. The owner passed away, and it got all caught up in legal whatnot and ended up closing. And I ultimately wanted to reopen it someday. I was really afraid someone was going to beat me to it. But the opportunity came up. I was managing this bar. It was the Gauntlet 2 at the time. The owner decided to retire, liquidate, and I was the manager, so he offered it up. And I got a business partner, Vince Quattrochi, who's a great guy, and turned it into the Eagle. So we bought it 14 years ago, and July 1st. And then it was the following April, we changed it from the Gauntlet to the Eagle. It was very tight-lipped. Nobody knew it was going to be an Eagle. They knew we were doing something and a change was coming, but they had no idea it was an Eagle. And we had a street fair that we produce called Off Sunset Festival. It was happening that weekend, and that was the big unveiling. And that on that Sunday, and it just happened to be April 1st. And I did not want to change and have our big grand opening on April 1st because of April Fools. So we actually changed the name on April 2nd, but not being able to pass up a great opportunity for the best April Fool's joke ever. We created all this marketing because people didn't know what was coming. We created all this marketing calling it Silver Lake's newest icky boy bar. It was very, we made a poster with Clay Aiken on it. It was all pink and bubbly. And it was supposed to be this West Hollywood kind of sissy boy bar. And we put out posters, ads, and email blasts. And the community just went ballistic.
They were mad.
It was called Club Cupcake.
Club Cupcake, yes.
Where the icky old Gauntlet 2 used to be.
And we had hate mail. People, how dare you? It's been a leather institution for so many years. Who the hell do you think you are? And we're just April Fools. And yeah, so some people got it and they laughed. Oh, that was awesome. And there are other people that were offended because we got them. And they're like, so that's not funny. Take us off your mailing list.
I love that. That's so funny. On April 2nd, then did the community immediately embrace
Well, if I can, let me correct Charlie there real quick. Saturday was April 1st.
Oh, you're right.
Of that weekend. And we did a Mr. Club Cupcake, and we did Coming to Silver Lake Club Cupcake, where the old Gauntlet 2 used to be. So we'd put out these ads 2 weeks prior to that weekend, and so everyone's thinking that the bar is going to be called Club Cupcake.
So they had enough time to get really upset.
Yeah, and then the day of the street fair, which was that Sunday, the night after.
You're right. That's right.
At the time, it was called Street Fest, not Off Sunset, but at the time it was called Street Fest. And when we actually did the unveiling, it was Eagle LA, and people were, as Charlie explained earlier, that they were just really pissed off, upset. A lot of people wanted to be removed from the mailing list, even after they were like, just look at the date on the ad. And it was just a bunch of FUs. And
so, but they came around, right? Because
they did. It actually started a fun little club that we did once a year. So every night on the night of Los Angeles Mr. Leather, wherever that contest is taking place, we did the Mr. Club Cupcake contest. So it was quite interesting to see the men that ran for Club Cupcake.
It was a great laugh.
Yeah.
Life's too short to not have a sense of humor.
So tell me about Pride this year at the Eagle. What do you guys have going on?
Well, we'll have Meat Rack, which will be the Saturday night of Pride. And Meat Rack is the second and fourth Saturday of every month. It's a club that myself and John Piampiano started 13 years ago at the bar. It's kind of muscle bear, go-go dancers. Most guys over 30, most guys over 200 pounds with lots of hair and muscles.
Fun.
Not your typical idea or what your mind's eye might be when you think of a go-go dancer. Just kind of hyper masculine. Very laid back. Everybody's welcome.
Do people show up? Is it well attended?
It's well attended every single month. We're very fortunate. It's a great club.
Yeah, and being Gay Pride weekend, it's the attendance is way up through the entire weekend, and so that'll be Saturday night, and then on Sunday, a lot of people do go to West Hollywood to the parade and the festival, and then there are those that either get their fill and need to get out of the crowd, or some that just want to avoid it altogether, so they come to our end of town, and we'll be rather quite busy with our beer bust. Last year, I think I booked a couple bands. We like to have live bands in the summertime on Sunday afternoons, and that's a big hit. A lot of fun. People really enjoy that. So it'll be a good weekend.
Hey, privates. Boo, boo. Privates with penises. I'm talking to you. Our sponsor, Fleshlight, can help you reach new heights with your self-pleasure. And that is because Fleshlight is the #1 selling male sex toy in the world. And they don't just leave you hanging over there. At Fleshlight, you can explore sex toys with expert guides and advice, especially if you're a beginner or you're looking to level up. If you have been listening to the show for a while, you know how I feel about self-pleasure, and it is very, very good. And I definitely endorse using sex toys. I have a lot of fun with sex toys myself. So with the Fleshlight Girls series, you can embrace your wildest porn star fantasies with a different porn actress every night. What? With the variety of models, sensations, and intensities, you can live out limitless fantasies. And you can automate your fantasies with the universal launch that fits most Fleshlight products. With its innovative touch control system, just set the controls, sit back, and enjoy. And you have pleasure right in your hands. Your pleasure is in your complete control. And as the ultimate male pleasure device on the market, it's as versatile as you are. Anatomical, stamina building, vibrating, or made for couples, you name it. You define your luxury moment. And I just want to say, if you have any shame around sex toys, please don't. It is so much better than being weird with girls because you feel kind of desperate or whatever. Fleshlight just allows you to chill out, wait for the right girl when she comes, and in the meantime, you know you are going to be getting yours and having a good time. So you don't even have to sweat it. And right now, Fleshlight is offering Private Parts Unknown listeners 10% off your order with our code PRIVATE10. So you just go to ppupod.com. That's the website, ppupod.com. You click Fleshlight and you use the promo code PRIVATE10 to get 10% off your delicious new device. Again, that is ppupod.com and enter code PRIVATE10. And it really helps support the show. It helps support yourself and your own sex drive. So go ahead and use the link in the episode description. We can all be horny together. We can keep this podcast going. So get yourself a Fleshlight and get yourself off. So let's talk about you guys. So how did you meet?
I was afraid you were going to ask this question. We met at the bar.
We did.
So like 13 years ago when it first, at the very beginning?
We met probably about 15 years ago.
It was actually before we bought the bar.
Yeah.
He was actually dating one of my bartenders.
We weren't dating.
They were dating.
Or whatever.
We were, it was a lot of whatever. A lot of fun whatever.
Yeah, he was whatevering with one of my bartenders. And he'd come and sit, at his station and visit with him all night. And I got to meet him that way. And we just kind of connected. We just had this energy and connection. And I just sat there all night. And I just, I knew when that bartender was scheduled next that he would come in. So I'd get all excited and wait for him. And sure enough, he'd show up. And so the bartender was just like, you got a thing for Charlie, don't you? And he's like, well, maybe.
So did the bartender step aside? What happened?
He did. He just was like,
he knew he didn't have a chance.
There was just no denying what was happening. I mean, I even had friends who were like, "Oh, so you and Charlie?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "God, you're an idiot!" Like, they're like, "Wake up!"
How long did it take you to figure it out?
Well, I mean, I knew the minute I met him. I knew the moment that I met him that there was going to be something special. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how it was going to come to be. All I knew is that there would definitely be something special between us. I didn't know if we were going to be friends, lovers, or if we would ever even actually talk one day. I just knew that something was going to happen at some point. And I just kind of lived day by day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually in a relationship already.
How did you get out of that?
Well, he joined the relationship.
I got into that. He didn't get out of it. I got into it.
For 4 years, we were as a threesome.
And then you kicked that guy out?
Well, I don't want to use those words, but things didn't work out. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, did you have a health scare, Hunter, that kind of like brought things to an impasse?
Yeah, I disappeared for about probably almost a month. I was on a spin bike at the gym, and I was trying to drink water, and it just kept pouring out of my mouth, and my face felt kind of weird. So I did about half the class. And I went to leave, I showered, and as I was leaving the gym, I thought I had Bell's palsy. And as I was leaving the gym, I started dragging my right leg. So I drove myself over to Cedars, where they were like, yeah, you've had a small event. They kept me for like 5 days. They said, you can go home tomorrow. And as they walked out of the room, I had a massive stroke and spent about 20-some days in ICU. And when they finally let me out, I looked and sounded like I had had a stroke. I lost my whole right side. And all I kept thinking about was Charlie. And I actually picked up the phone one day and I called him. I didn't drink at the time, so all he heard was me slurring and unable to get words out. And he's like, are you drunk? Do you need help? I'm like, I'm not drunk. I'm in the hospital. I finally got that out. And he's like, the hospital? I said, I'm at Cedars. And
I thought he was all trashed out in some alleyway behind a dumpster. I'm like, just tell me where you are.
Well, I will come get you. It's not that I haven't been, but
just tell me where you are. And he was able to get the words out. I had a stroke, and I was just like, oh dear God. And I thought, I didn't know much about any of that. And I just thought, this man in the hospital could barely talk. He's dying, and he's wanting to see me. His final wish is for me to come see him. And so I rushed to the hospital, and I've never left his side since.
We've had maybe 4 days apart since then.
Oh, how long ago was that?
That was coming up on 14 years ago. Yeah. Oh, actually, what's today's date?
The 21st, May 21st.
Tomorrow will mark the 14-year anniversary that I came out of ICU and called him.
Oh my God! Wow. Congratulations!
Yeah, it was on. Happy
anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. So did that major event make you realize anything about each other?
For me,
just brings life into sharp relief?
I was really fortunate. I was sober at the time, and my room was full of people nonstop from the time they let visitors into the hospital until the time it left. The support that I had from AA and Charlie and my friends, I really believe are what saved my life. They told me it was going to take years before I would be able to talk again or even walk properly. And it was weeks. But again, I had so much love and support. One of the things that really changed my life is my sponsor at the time would say, you don't date married people. People that are in relationships are off. Like, you don't even go out on dates with them. So I lived by that. And Charlie showed up one day, and my friend David was sitting there. And we just chatted and visited, and Charlie brought some lunch, and Charlie had to go to the bar. He got up and left. And David's like, oh, well, why didn't you tell me about this? And I'm like, tell you about what? And he's like, you and Charlie. And I'm like, well, what about us? And he's like, he's in a relationship. And he's like, oh, honey, whatever that is, that's done. He's like, you two. He's like, and he goes, whatever you do, just don't fuck this up. And so I've tried not to ever since.
Seems like you're doing pretty good.
He's pretty good, yeah.
So when did you get married? Are you married?
We got married. We're coming up on 3 years. We got married on September 30th.
Congratulations. Was there something that made you realize you wanted to get married, or
Well, we always did, but we wanted to wait till it was legal federally. We just wanted to make it right.
Yeah, we didn't want to there was a lot of, California had marriage. My very conservative father, who absolutely fell in love with Charlie, called us because Maryland got marriage equality before California. My dad called one day and he was all excited and crying, and he's like, you guys can come to Maryland and get married. And we tried to explain to them we wanted to wait until it was legal for everyone to get married. And then we even kind of messed that up. We tried to have an intimate wedding, and that list was 175 people.
I bet.
So we eloped to North Hollywood and went over to our friend's house and had a little ceremony in the backyard.
That's really sweet.
And we just called people while we were on our way there and we called our parents And we were like, by the way, we're getting married. And they're like, great, when? We're like, at 4:00.
Did getting that right make you feel accepted in a different way, or did it change the way you felt about the world?
I have some issues with the marriage equality thing, and just as far as how it impacted the gay community. So many men and women rushed to get married because we had the right, and I think that a lot of people did it too soon, and there's a lot of divorces happening. And that happened really quickly after it all passed and after a lot of people got married. The right is important. It's necessary. It is definitely relevant. And again, marriage is a big commitment.
We've been together 11 years already. So
it doesn't seem like a rush for you guys.
It was not a rush.
It wasn't a rush decision. The thing that was nice about it is, since we produce events, our life is an event. It seems like almost every day, between the restaurant, the bar, meat rack that we do off-site, between the street fair that we produce every year, everything's always an event, or we're going to them. So it was really nice to actually have our wedding not be an event. I initially wanted it to be I wanted a big wedding with all the bells and whistles, but I couldn't have asked for a better ceremony or day.
Yeah, we just wanted to keep it, private and quiet, because that's why it's like I said, the guest list is, we know so many people through what we do. It was just not possible to invite a limited group without an outside ring getting offended and the outside ring of them getting offended, and we couldn't get it to a simple number. And we just said, I didn't want to have to wake up and worry about, did the flowers arrive, the caterer here, and I would have been more stressed out. And I'm like, this is what we do for a living. It's just, all I wanted to do was think about him.
And it's really about, you two. So you grew up in the LA area, Charlie, and
I did.
You
I grew up on the East Coast, Maryland and Virginia.
Yeah. If you could speak to gay acceptance when you were growing up, to me it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that makes a place like the Eagle all the more important, if maybe that wasn't something that you had when you were younger.
I definitely did not. When I grew up in a very rural area where homosexuality was not accepted. In fact, I remember as a teenager, my friends wanting to get in cars and going into DC and beat up the homos, and I would always find an excuse or a reason to stay home or not go, and my family wasn't accepting of it. My friends weren't accepting of it, and I always knew. So I actually started hanging out in DC, where it was more accepted. It's definitely, when you go into a gay bar, it's definitely more accepted, and it's easy to be out when you're in a space that accepts you. So for years I went and hung out at gay bars and did stuff, but I still never told my family. Things today are much different. So, my family, they finally accepted me. They accepted Charlie. They love Charlie. My family adores Charlie. My dad used to, when my father was sick with cancer, we would call and I'd be like, how are you, Pop? And he's like, oh, I'm doing all right, son. And I'm like, oh, well, I got Charlie here. Hey, Charlie, what's going on? What are you doing, man? And all of a sudden the sun was shining and the birds were singing, and,
I have that effect on people. I kind of the opposite story. I grew up with two sisters and my mother, so I didn't even know any of this gay world existed. I didn't know what West Hollywood, 30 miles from West Hollywood. I never even knew what that was. Never knew anything about gay bars, all the way up through high school, basically. It wasn't until I was about 21 that I finally started figuring out who I was and what I wanted. And it was one of the first relationships I had was with a bartender. And that's how, the whole world kind of opened up to me.
And did you feel like in LA, it wasn't the same kind of fight for acceptance, or did you still feel like it kind of was?
As I grew up and became familiar with everything, I was fortunate to be in LA and West Hollywood and Hollywood per se, because you get this false sense of security that everything goes and it's all accepted and it's all inclusive, and you get really comfortable, and only to realize just 20 miles in either direction, it's not that way at all. And so it really kind of is an eye-opener that, it's not everyone, especially back then in the 80s and 90s, people who didn't live in, big cities, it was hard, very hard for them.
And not to say that it's still not hard today. There are many areas of the U.S. and in the world where we are not accepted. And look, everybody can march to the beat of their own drum and that kind of thing, and that's all well and good. I love it when the younger generation that comes after us come to the restaurant or the bar, and they're free and they're happy, and they know very little of our unfortunate past. There are those that are interested and like want to seek that kind of stuff out, but it's a great feeling to know that they didn't have to struggle with their family and that their family accepted them, whether it be a young child who was trans and they were just loved and accepted, or gay, or just accepted and loved regardless of what their religion or their culture tells them.
We've come a long way in the last 20 years. We still have a lot of hurdles.
Conversion therapy has to go.
Yes.
It's got to stop. It's destroying our youth. It is wrong. Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
agreed.
it's just
But you definitely feel the evolution
absolutely.
with some caveats?
Yes, of course. Of course. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, and I don't expect it to be. Yeah, I don't expect it to be.
We talked a little bit about Grindr last time because, apps have changed things. When I was dating and going to the bar, just the fact that you could meet people on Tinder makes you less likely to approach people because you guys are very hangout spot. Have those apps changed things for you?
Yeah, dating apps have definitely changed.
Yeah, the internet dating apps, it's changed the bar scene quite substantially. In fact, prior to the internet and the dating apps, the bars were people, how they meet people. People go out to meet other people, and now they can just order out like you're ordering food online, basically. And it's really diminished the traffic through the bars and clubs, which is why we are so event and promoter driven now. We always have all these different events every weekend, to pull different people. And it's everything from, one Saturday night be like a demographic of these young 20-year-old hipster, 20-something hipsters. And then the next night will be, a 40-plus kind of leather and seedy group. It varies quite a bit. But oftentimes we'll see people in the bar, on their phones, on Growler or what's the other?
Grindr?
Growler, Grindr, Scruff.
Scruff, yeah. And they're actually talking to someone across the bar.
The room. That's so funny.
Well, because you can see how many feet away they are from you.
That's
it is funny. But
the whole phone culture thing really, I don't know. I like being social. It's why I go out. And sometimes you'll be at the bar and you'll look around the room and there's a multitude of people that are just, they're not talking to anyone. They're just communicating with people online on their phone. I find it very bizarre.
Yeah, that's like a culture overall. It seems like you guys are pretty well equipped, with the events and just the kind of community that you have to overcome it. But it's interesting that you still have that at your place.
Oh yeah, it makes a definite impact, and it's just the new generation. And things change and evolve, and one has to go and roll with it to stay alive and survive in this industry, in this business, because if you don't, it'll just pass you up.
Yeah. Any other things that you've noticed about the way people are now, or just anything that's changed in kind of the crowd over the last 14 years?
Again, just it's a lot more acceptance. We will have straight couples come to our bar all the time now, when that was just unheard of. And they have a great time, and they love it. And
I've been one of those straight people.
Yeah, definitely become more mainstream. There was, especially with the kind of bar that we have, there was definitely a long era where it was kind of taboo. It was really, unless you were of the norm that went there, you didn't really go.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do one more walkthrough of the Eagle. So, take me around the wall. There's porn playing. There's a shoe shine.
We call them art films.
Art films, yes.
Give me a tour.
So when you walk into the Eagle, you walk through the patio. It's a big open patio. There's 3 garage doors. Those are usually up. There's pinball machines. There's a pool table, and it's nice because you kind of have a feeling of being outside, but you're covered and you can still smoke. It's considered an outdoor area. Then when you walk into the bar, there's a big square bar. The walls are all painted black. There's a bench that comes out into a stage that we use for bands or our contests. The back wall has flames coming up of it. We have a big corrugated metal DJ booth, dimly lit, usually red lights. but now, red lights mostly everywhere. We have a couple trophy cases. One is for the Satyrs, which they're the longest running gay organization. And they're also the oldest motorcycle club, over 65 years.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we have another room that we call the East Room, where there is a big spider web made out of chains. There's a big chrome spider with red glowing eyes that is made out of chrome motorcycle tailpipe. And again, the room, it's just a little smaller. There's another bar, and it's
if you want to get your porn fix, or what did you call it?
Yeah, there's definitely, we definitely have porn playing. And again, there was a time when people just wouldn't come in for that alone because they just thought it was so inappropriate and wrong. And now it's just part of the kind of the culture, and the acceptance of people's cultures and who we are and what we do is part of the mainstream. And so it's not so shock and awe anymore. It's more
kind of just like fun.
Yeah,
and maybe
and
a little
there.
campy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And we have guy nights, we have leather nights, we have hipster nights, we have queer nights, we have women's nights, dyke nights. We all enjoy the bar and the porn.
So, and you've made a little bit of a family with your bar. First of all, your bartenders, what are they usually wearing?
They're usually just...
Not much.
Huh?
Not much?
Yeah, not much. That's the best way to describe it. We have the sexiest staff in all of Los Angeles, I think. And the Eagle is a good family, and it's a good home. Most of our staff is anywhere from 6 years to beyond, 14 years, which is unheard of in bartending.
Usually
years.
the turnover is like crazy, right?
Crazy. Yeah, our guys do not leave because they're very loyal. But yeah, they wear their jock straps and their harnesses, and they're shirtless, and they're a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. If that doesn't convince you to go to the Eagle LA, I don't know what will. If you get a chance to visit, if you live in LA or if you're just in town, definitely stop by and check it out. It's quite an experience. The few times that I have been there, I have had such a blast. And thank you so much to Hunter and Charlie for just being so forthcoming and generous and hilarious and just awesome. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Private Parts Unknown. Stay tuned right here because I have got another sexy episode coming your way next week. For the latest episodes, look down and make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player now. If you are listening on Spotify, it's like a follow and a bell button. On most platforms, it's like a follow or a subscribe button. To stay in touch between episodes, follow me at Courtney Kocak. That is Kocak on Instagram and Twitter. And follow the show at Private Parts Unknown on Instagram and at Private Parts Un on Twitter. And hey, privates, I am shamelessly trying to hit the top 1% on OnlyFans always and forever. So if you are interested in a Playboy-style peek behind the podcast, you can subscribe to my OnlyFans account. It is onlyfans.com/CocoPeepShow. It is a very horny way to help support the show. I so appreciate my horn dogs. So if you are interested, please join me over at onlyfans.com/CocoPeepShow. And of course, subscribe to our newsletter. It is privatepartsunknown.substack.com. There is a link in the episode description for that. And subscribe to the Private Parts Unknown YouTube channel for the video version of a bunch of episodes. Just go to youtube.com/privatepartsunknown. Again, youtube.com/privatepartsunknown. And actually, all of the audio episodes automatically update over there. So you can listen to the podcast on YouTube now too. Again, youtube.com/privatepartsunknown. And check out my other podcasts for more of my audio creations. I have The Bleeders about book writing and publishing, and Podcast Bestie, which is a best friend to podcasters trying to grow and monetize their shows. And hey, if you are a writer, I have got the most incredible writing intensive, the writing intensive I actually wanted to see in the world, which is why I created it, coming up in July. It is called Midsummer Pitch Party. It is just going to be jam-packed with prompts and publication targets and writing exercises, and you're going to get feedback on some of your writing. And the goal is that you're going to land some new bylines by the end of July. So if you are looking to take your writing to the next level, the Midsummer Pitch Party is for you. You can get all the information over on my website. It is Courtney Kocak, again, KOCAK.com/teaching. CourtneyKocak.com/teaching. And for all of my privates, I am offering $100 off with the code PRIVATE. So I would love to have some of my privates attend the workshop. And again, you get $100 off with the code PRIVATE. Shout out to Amy Rausch for the bomb-ass theme music. For more info about Amy and her music, check out amyrausch.com. That is Amy, RAASCH.com. This episode was mixed by my beloved audio guy, Michael Castaneda of Plastic Audio. And after enjoying this content, could we ask you for a quick favor? Just go to ratethispodcast.com/private and give us a 5-star rating and review. We have some rating and review goals, and we are actually stuck right now. So we definitely need you guys to help us out. On Apple Podcasts, we are trying to get to 290 ratings, and we are stuck at 287. And on Spotify, we are trying to get to 150 ratings, and we are stuck at 146. So if you are listening on Spotify, just go to our page, go to that little 3 dots, that hamburger sign, click rate podcast, click 5 stars. Voila, you have just made my day. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or anywhere, you can go to ratethispodcast.com/private. Leave us a 5-star rating and a review. I will read your review on the air. So again, you can rate and review the podcast no matter where you are listening by going to ratethispodcast.com/private. And hey, there is one more way you can help support the show. We are now on the Fountain app. So if you are listening on Fountain or another V4V platform and you get value from this show, you can support us by sending a boostagram. You can even send a comment along with your boost. And I have to say, those are my favorite messages to get because they come with a little bit of Bitcoin. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. Love you, privates.